love that song. The Edmonton Eskimos released their official schedule yesterday. It's a Battle of Alberta to kick off the preseason on June 11th at Commonwealth Stadium. Joining CFWE this afternoon is the president and chief executive officer of the Edmonton Eskimos, Len Rhodes. Len, the new schedule was released yesterday. For you, what's the best thing about kicking off the new CFL season?
The best thing about kicking off the Eskimo season is just it's basically telling you that spring and summer is not far away. We got through the worst of the winter in terms of the colder weather, and even though it came out on a cold day, it's all about hope, and the schedule itself certainly brings a lot of light to the upcoming season. We're very encouraged.
What's the next 4 months like for the organization leading up to preseason action?
Yeah, leading up to that, there's actually a lot of work. A lot of people ask, what do you do in the off-season? Actually, I would argue we do more. The players and the coaches are the ones who are really working, of course, during the actual season. And they're performing on the field and making sure that we're competitive. But leading up to that in the off-season, there's a lot on both the football and the business side that goes on. So our general manager has to look at the talent that he's going to have on the field. And next week, it's the opening of free agency. And then later in the spring, we have the CFL draft. And on the business side, it's really focused on a number of areas, most importantly, selling tickets, season seats, getting corporate partnerships and sponsorships so that we remain sustainable as an organization, and also making sure that we're active in the community, which we do very well through our players and our staff.
Len Rhodes joining us. Len, the Eskimos made some pretty big key moves in the last couple of weeks, of course, extending Darius Bowman and Marcel Young. Are you happy where your team is right now?
Yes, I am. Overall, I'm really happy. The last few years, there's been a lot of strategy in what takes place, and the credit goes to Ed Hervey in terms of getting the players signed. And every team has a list that you have in terms of priorities, and you certainly hope that you don't lose the ones that you want to keep, but it's a very competitive world. There are 9 teams. Everyone wants to vie for the best position, and players have the right to look at what's available elsewhere, whether it be south of the border or across the CFL, and it's that's in their right. So it keeps things active, it keeps things fluid, and no one could ever rest on their laurels saying, well, because we did well last year, it's an automatic that we're going to do well again next year.
Your team announced this morning that the entire coaching staff is returning this season. What was your impression of Jason Moss last season?
Oh, Jason's a fabulous head coach. My gosh, he's got passion and fire. He wants to succeed, and no one really looked at him as a rookie coach last year, head coach. His name speaks for itself in terms of reputation, what he did when he was a player as a quarterback, including in Edmonton, and then recently as the coordinator in Ottawa. He's very highly regarded by us and by myself, and we expect great things from him. He had a lot to do last year. He had to put an entire new coaching staff, which is incredible in terms of the short period of time that he had to work with, but he never used excuses. And this year, given the fact that all of our coaching staff is back, there's stability there, and Jason can go now to the next level with the rest of his staff to make sure that they're maximizing everything they need to do.
Len Rhodes from the Edmonton Eskimos on the show this afternoon. Len, for those of us that have been to an Eskimos game, we know it's such a fun atmosphere both inside and outside of Commonwealth Stadium. But for those that have never been to an Eskimos game, what are they missing out on?
Jeremy, there's nothing that matches the being at a live event. When you're at the brick field at Commonwealth Stadium and there's more than 35,000 people, and especially the games where there's 40,000, nothing matches the euphoria that comes with that. So there's the game itself, of course. Why people come is to watch the Edmonton Eskimos beat the rivals, but in and around the game, it's so important for that game day experience, and it's really what happens and what occurs in your mind, your soul, and your spirit in terms of what you feel at a game. And it can't just be about wins and losses. It's about having a good time and feeling like you had good value for your money. And in the last several years, we put a lot of emphasis there, and we've actually spent a lot of money in capital projects so that when you come to the stadium, now you're in a Wi-Fi environment. You have a power ring around the stadium. It brings life to it, and we've been receiving a lot of good feedback. Now, the challenge, like any other business, is that we've got to make sure that we're reaching new fans, younger demographics, and while we are always number 1 or number 2 across the league in terms of overall attendance, we compete against ourselves. We're never satisfied, even if we're on top versus the rest of the teams in the league. We want to do better and better, and we put a lot of emphasis on getting kids in the stadium. We have a kids club. We do a lot with amateur football across northern Alberta. We kicked off a flag football league in the junior public high schools in Edmonton last year, and it's repeating this year. So 400 kids are playing in that way. Another 400 kids are in the novice flag football league. Now it's fifth year. So there's a lot of great things. Kids have to be active. One of the challenges children these days is there's so much that is alluring when it comes to the electronic side and technology and computer games and everything. You got to get back to the basics and get back into being active, because those are the things that pay off when they're older and it's later in life.
Len Rhodes, the president and chief executive officer of the Edmonton Eskimos. Thanks for doing this, Len. It's going to be a great season.
My pleasure, Jeremy. Thank you.